What's up? Here we go. It sounded like some kind of terrible EDM DJ with his one laptop and Fruity Loops installed on his Mac. How you doing? I'm Warren. Welcome to the Thursday night stream. Holy cannoli. Hope you're having a good time this week. Hope you're having a good time this week. That is not a bad time. We just to be very clear, because sometimes these things get muddled sometimes, and I want to make one thing very clear. I, Warren Hayes, do not endorse bad times. I know, brave thing to say. I know. But sometimes someone's got to put it out there. It's Thursday. What do you want from me? Thursdays are cool. Thursdays always feel like the weekend. Thursdays are a good time. You go out for drinks after work, come home after your little happy hour, and then you listen to Warren Hayes. I mean, I don't know. Doesn't that sound like a lovely Thursday evening? But and it is indeed a beautiful day to not watch AMC. That is very true. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Travis. Welcome to the chat. Travis also happens to be a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. And so is Mike McCullough. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. It is lovely to see you. DJ Convoy is nice. It's nice to see you too, brother. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. Thursdays are brutal because you're twiddling your thumbs waiting for Friday. So then on Friday, you twiddle your thumbs even more, waiting for the day to end. I don't know. I like Thursdays. I think the worst day of the week is Tuesday, personally. I've expressed this opinion multiple times. I'm not doing it again. You can do a search for my opinions on that. Tuesdays are the worst. But here, oh no. And especially on a Thursday, I like streaming on Thursdays because I feel like the worst of the week is behind me. I feel like I'm like everything that I really needed to do that was important, I feel is already done. And I'm in a good mood. Not that I'm not in a good mood when I stream on Mondays, but there's just a little something extra. You get a little extra boost of energy. And then on a week where wrestling news overall is slow, but you nonetheless have a plethora of topics thanks to terminally online people adjacent to or working in the wrestling business. I should say it's more than adjacent, people actually working in the wrestling business. You just have, it's a recipe for a fun time. I think tonight we're going to have a fun little stream because honestly, news-wise, it's pretty barren. On my end, in regards to the things that I cover and the things that I have time to watch, right? Because if you flip on over, let's say to the flagship with Rich and Joe, I mean that's all they do. Like that's their job, is to watch everything and keep up with everything. I'd like to be able to do that, but realistically I cannot. I have to, secure a certain amount of hours per day for employment and then come home. So, even if I wanted to do as much as they do, physically it's impossible. I just can't pull it off. That's fine. So, as far as what I cover, essentially is the point I'm trying to make. There's not much like real hard news, I guess. But it's not boring out there. Not these days. It's not not boring these days. We'll see in a few moments. JD, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Friday's my only work from home day. Fuck around and get caught up on fuck around and get caught up on Gone stuff on Carney's dime. Good. Tremendous stuff. I endorse that. Convoy lording their sweet career in the bountiful thumb twiddling industry over. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Maybe Convoy is in like he's in the 1%, and he not dare tells us. Maybe he's in the 2%. Ugh. I'm very thirsty today. I feel like I'm gonna have to refill the bottle at some point. Oh, home stuff. All right, fair enough. Bottom 1% maybe. You know. I'm trying to think like of stuff, like basically the last couple of days I've just been, like I'm still on vacation last week, like taking the time to just, do stuff, go outside, dog and whatnot, and come back and, watch some wrestling. The thing that I am really, really behind on, and I'm going to try and catch up as much as I can this weekend, is the 5-star Grand Prix. I have over 20 recommendations of matches, over 25 recommendations of matches. And I'm already exhausted at that thought. So I have to, I have to get out there and get it done. My Stardom watch count is very low right now, which I don't appreciate. And then Marvelous has been tearing it up. So, there's so much stuff to do. There's really a lot of stuff to do. Still, to be true to myself, to be honest to myself, to be. So, I'll have to catch up with that, but that, so, I've been taking it, but, playing a little video games. Been doing that. Started up the Delta Room, the chapter 5. I just, I finished. I'm playing through. The Mass Effect 2. No, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So I just finished Mass Effect 2. I finished the main story, but I still have to go back and romance Thane, I think is who I want to go for. I didn't realize. I didn't realize that a lot of the romance options, because I'm playing as Femshep, and I didn't realize that a lot of the romance options were blocked by gender. I thought everything was super fluid, because in Mass Effect 1, of course, you're going to romance Liara. I mean, come on, like, right? But I didn't realize that they were. I figured everyone was fluid, but they're not. And I was like, oh, this would be funny. Because I vaguely remember when I played years ago when it first came out. I think I ended up just. I think I don't remember. I think it was. I think I went for the basic option of Miranda. But then I was also playing as Femshep, so that can't be it. So I probably did Thane. Look, I don't remember, but I do remember that I didn't do Jack. Jack, the character. As in not doing. I did not do Jack, but like I this time around, basically, I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm going to romance Jack, and all of her aggressiveness. And it's really funny because when you get to the point where you start getting. Where you push the conversations with her and you can feel the walls breaking down, there's there's levels to it. And then you reach the point where you're like, where you're about to like outright flirt with them. Jack immediately shuts you down. Like she goes something like that, it's like, I don't know where you're going with this, but she says something to the fact that I don't play for that team or something like that. That sucks. That sucks. So I'm gonna give Thane the go. Wrap that up and then move into Mass Effect 3. And you know, maybe with years removed, I will, you know, my perception about the finale will change, because I am absolutely part of those who thought that the conclusion to the Mass Effect trilogy was very, very, very underwhelming, and kind of sucked that ultimately most of your decisions didn't have an impact, which is weird. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Right. So, but I want to take just a little break. I want to get into the Delta Rune and have a little fun with that one. Motown Slim, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. I miss your food reviews to gross me out just before dinner. The era where we used to watch Kate. What was that? Was that her name? Kate's Cooking, Kate's Kitchen, and that other dope. Cooking with Jack. And he was terrible. Like, he wasn't even a chef. He wasn't even a cook. Kate's Kitchen. Right. And her myriad of heavy metal t-shirts, Iron Maiden and whatnot. Black Sabbath. She was tremendous. Fuck yo mama, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. 5-star GP has been really good. Makiito is a serious wrestler. Look, I you know, my opinions are starting to change in regards to Maki Ito. It would appear that in an environment where she cannot just get away on doing shtick, apparently she's able to adapt. Look, she's popped up in a couple of my recommendations. Like, really? You know, not getting into a match where she's like wrestling with, you know, I don't know, SLK, where it's like, oh, well, of course she's going to be good with Starlight Kid, right? Of course she's going to have a good match with the Starlight Kid. No, it's like, all right. So I'm excited to see that. Mass Effect Andromeda is okay too. I liked it, although many people didn't. I didn't even play it. I didn't. How much is it? Like, it can't be. Let me just take a quick look here. Mass Effect Andromeda. Is it $5 on Steam? The deluxe, what? No. Okay, no, it's $54. Okay. I don't know what that $5 is. The deluxe edition is $54.99, or it's included with your EA Play subscription. Like, I want to give more money to Saudi Arabia, am I right? And to Jared Kushner and to Silver Lake. They're already getting a lot of my money in ways that I don't care about, but yeah, you know, people buried Andromeda so bad that it really turned me off. I was like, ugh. But there's huge rumors that BioWare is working on a new trilogy, and that it's probably going to take us back to the Milky Way, which I think is a good idea. Because to me, Andromeda is one of the turnoffs where it's like, why are we changing locales? It's not like, I like the Milky Way Mass Effect. I like the world building that was done there. I understand that the mass relays were destroyed, right? I understand. You know, I get why we're doing the Andromeda thing. I understand. It all makes sense, but you know, I kind of miss all of the alien races and the relationships and the understanding of that universe. And I don't know, didn't turn me on all that much, you know. And I was like, oh, let me see the price, but my fucking hell, like it's $55. I'm not paying Canadian dollars. I'm not paying $55 to play a game that I might not like. I'm very adverse to high-priced games now. I'm not a big AAA guy anymore. Like, like over the past year, I think like I've played, like I think the most contemporary AAA game that I've played was Helldivers 2, I think. And that was fun for a good while, for a few months. I enjoyed that, played the shit out of it, was very excited. Then, you know, at some point it's like, we're moving on now. Now we're moving on. And I love my indie games, man. I love the shorter experiences. I love the reasonable pricing and the creativity and the fun gameplay. It's very hard to go wrong with an indie game. Sports and Things shows, how you doing, Carlos? Welcome to the chat. It is lovely to have you. I have to hand it to Ito. Most wrestlers that get a shtick over like that will lose the will to improve. Yeah, they'll just stick to the formula. But then I think that Ito also saw that gimmick was wearing thin. I think a lot of people didn't think it was all that charming anymore. You know, the little you know, cutesy idol type was just extremely vulgar. I think overall people were like, we're done with this. I was done with it. And now, well, yeah, I agree. She's a lot more serious. Like, maybe, you know what? Here's what my headcanon around Maki Ito flipping is. She had that dog shit match with Mickie James at the Mark Hitchcock Memorial. What was it, 2 years ago? Is it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? Easily 2 years ago. If Mr. Antox is here, he'll let me know. I think it was 2 years ago. She had that dog shit match. And she was like, I cannot do this anymore. That's it. I have more self-respect and more respect for the craft of pro wrestling than this. Whereas Mickie James goes out and is like, I entertain. Just dog shit. God, that Mark Hitchcock show was horrible. That was the one that had the butterbean incident. with Minoru Suzuki. What incident was that, Warren? The match. That's what it was. Miggy O'Cannon, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Nice to see you. Oh yes, I'm very shrewd as far. Very. I'm I have discernible tastes. That Anthem BS killed Mass Effect Andromeda build due to all their team being put on Anthem and killing DLC future content. Plus, the release of Mass Effect Andromeda was like Cyberpunk, released too soon with bugs and glitches, but fixed later down the road. Yeah, they made some very poor choices. I don't know why they thought Anthem was a good idea. I don't know why anyone thought that live services were something everyone had to get into. You know. Anyway. Discussion for another type of podcast. Here's the issue with Maki Ito. People gassed her up when she sucked, and now it's difficult to take people seriously when they say she's now good. I agree. And that connects to something that I often say, you know, where it's like people will see a younger wrestler, someone coming up that they like, that they gravitate to, and they're you know, like we used to do in the early years with Billy Starks. It's like, oh no, she's great. No, she's not great. she's not great. Stop trying to put these people on such a level that now that when they do become great, well, I used to frame it as, well, you're going to run out of adjectives, and people. And then eventually, you know, like Convoy very justly put out here, then people just don't buy you if you keep saying they're great. And when they really are good or great, you know, whatever. And people are like, no, they've never been good. People have just been saying they're good because, you know, whatever, for whatever X reason. Mr. Antox, nice to see you. Welcome. Yes, it is. Well, I've just been slacking off on the Thursday streams. That's all. There's always been Thursday streams. I've just been slacking off. Wrestling fans have a habit of gassing up wrestlers that they shower with unearned praise, so they are doomed from the start. I agree. Sheeta is the end result of this behavior. The thing with Sheeta is that, like, Sheeta was at the right place at the right time. She was better. She was a better wrestler in a very shallow pool of talent. And she was never as great as people made her out to be, but she was good for the level of competition that they had. Now, the roster is a lot different, and I don't like you know what she gives me? She's starting to give me big time Great O'Khan vibes, where she just doesn't care anymore and she doesn't like this wrestling thing anymore. Those are the vibes I'm getting. That she's very happy to be a heel and do the shortcuts and do the rest holds and get heat by, you know, screaming and kicking people around, you know, security around as she gets carried off. I think that's what that's what it is. She's really giving off those vibes to me. I can't stand Great O'Khan anymore. This G1 is completely buried Great O'Khan in my mind. Anyway, we'll talk about it more on Monday, I think. That's mainly for WWE people and a few indie talent. I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, people tell me Maya World is great, that she's awesome and tremendous, and I'm like, well, she has potential. She's good. She's not bad. She's not a bad wrestler. She's got a lot of things to figure out. I wouldn't call her great. Not even close to calling her great yet. I don't know. It's just sometimes the charisma of a wrestler takes over. And that's all to their credit. That's an intangible. The charisma of a wrestler takes over, and then people say, you know, and then people sort of gas that person up. Oh, I know you wouldn't say Maya World is great. I wouldn't say it either. But I've had discussions with people that, oh no, she's great. She's so great. She's great at everything. Great. I'm like, let's pump the brakes. You know, you can nuance what you're saying about a professional wrestler and say, you know, I think she has a lot of potential. She's got some great tools. I don't see it just yet, but she's got time to develop. Christ, she's 3 years in the business. I don't think having your formative years happen on national TV to be necessarily good. I think the opposite should happen. Your formative years should be off camera, you running the indies, doing all sorts of dates, working all sorts of people, all sorts of times, all sorts of towns, all sorts of types, not times, all sorts of types, all sorts of towns. That's what you should be doing. And then when you get picked up for TV, people just go, oh, she's fantastic. I think. DJMC is also here. Nice to see you and welcome to the chat. Also, a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Do I finally get to have my victory lap about Sheeta from 6 to 7 years ago? Please do. Lap as much as you want. Sheeta was good leading the women's division when it wasn't good. That time has passed and I am validated. There you go. That's a good victory lap. I think we undersell the impact Tony Storm had coming into AEW from that day forth. Many of these wrestlers were irrelevant, biggest being Britt. Well, I wouldn't call Britt irrelevant, but Britt is the epitome, say I pronounce it right, of the wrestler who was who was a standout in a shallow pool, but she was not irrelevant. She was the face of the division, and she was extremely hard to touch at that point. And we can credit Toni Storm. We can credit Jamie Hayter at the time, who broke away from Britt, which is something I'm sure to this day Britt doesn't quite, still has trouble accepting. She broke away from Britt and clearly turned out to be a superior in-ring competitor. And then you bring in Mercedes Moné on top of that. And then Mercedes has that match with Britt, completely exposing Britt. I mean, that match completely exposed Britt. If you're in a match with Mercedes Moné and you're able to, and all you're able to do is conjure up a stinker, I'm sorry to say, that's not on our girl. That's not on Mercedes. I'll tell you what. There's a lot of that's on you. No, but you see, Warren, because I wasn't sucking off Sheeta in 2020, that means I was against AEW's women's division and women's wrestling in general. You know, I know. I remember those discussions quite well, and even today, these days, you know, it's like, you know, you say one thing, you try to be critical of one thing, and it's like, oh, well, I thought you liked women's wrestling. Yes, I do. Just like I like men's wrestling. I don't like shitty men's wrestling. Why would I like shitty women's wrestling? You know, I feel that kind of goes hand in hand. I think we're on the same, I think on that front, DGMC, you and I were on the same page. Yuck. But nonetheless, you know, it's important to have those nuances. It's like when I was talking about Avery Styles last week, and I had one guy in my mention saying, "Oh, so you support nepotism?" No, where did I say I support nepotism? That's why discussing women's wrestling, I hate that term, is nearly impossible. Yes, it is. It is extremely difficult to do that. Terribly difficult, because people get extremely defensive and they immediately think that you're coming after like the social construct of it, I guess. It's like for the first time in a long time on a Blue Sky post this week, someone was saying, you know, what is I couldn't remember exactly what the prompt was, but it was like something to the effect of, what is a video game that is considered, you know, great and seminal, but that you just can't get into? And for me, it was The Last of Us, you know, but it's not something I could discuss back in the day in 2013 when The Last of Us was coming out, and especially not around The Last of Us 2, where all of it became part of the culture war. And if you didn't like The Last of Us, well, you were against, I don't know, social justice. You hated lesbians. I don't know, you hated the LGBTQ people. And you're like, no, I can recognize that the game has very good writing and great performances, but this is a game, and I think the game falls short. I thought it was very average gunplay, you know, coverage. Look, I'm a guy who loved Gears of War. I absolutely loved Gears of War. So you're not going to come in, you're not going to present me with a shitty cover shooter, you know, and then expect me to go woo, even if the story is tremendous. The story is very good. Please don't cancel me. Fallout 4 is another good example, but I don't feel like Fallout 4 is considered a seminal game. If you said New Vegas is not for me, then people would be, oh, tell me about what hurt you? what hurt you back in the day that you cannot enjoy Fallout New Vegas? Because that's like one of those untouchable pillars of contemporary gaming, right? And I fucking love New Vegas. New Vegas is a tremendous game. If you're not into The Last of Us, you're for forced prayer in schools. Yeah, exactly. It's all those kind of things. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Why don't we get started? We've got some. Like I said it at the start of the stream here, that we have some fun wrestling stuff to talk about. So why aren't we talking about fun wrestling stuff, right? Why aren't we discussing it? Well, because we haven't seen Jacques Leff yet. Woo!
How you doing, everybody?
Woo!
I'm Jacques Mollier.
That's
I'm
right.
going to tell you a little bit about myself.
That's right.
I'm a nunchuck master.
He's a master.
I represent NWA, Mountain State Wrestling.
Hoo-yah! Patrick is here. Patrick is here. He always shows up at this moment. Patrick is here. He is a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel here on YouTube.com. So my G1 Climax 36 coverage is done. We finished it today. The block action is terminated. It's kaput. 17 issues, 17 different moments of breaking down every night of the G1. It was a lot of fun to do this year because I thought the tournament overall was pretty good. Things that I absolutely detested in it, and we're all going to talk about that. We're going to do a proper recap of the G1, plus also cover the semifinals and the finals, which are happening this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, over there at the Ryogoku, excuse me, I'll pronounce it correctly, Sumo Hall, and we'll do that next week, Monday. We'll sit around here on stream, and I'll review the last couple of nights. The last couple of matches, and then on top of that, of course, there's Hiroyoshi Tenzan's. I have this on the schedule. What am I doing here? The point is that I just want to work out through the usual little housekeeping. Monday, I'm recapping the G1. I'm giving some final thoughts. More like I'm not recapping, but I'm giving some final thoughts on the G1, and we're gonna do a bit of a winners and losers type of scenario where I tell you whose stock improved with the G1 and whose stock went down and whose stock ended up in the fucking bin. So join us Monday for that. It'll be a good time. We will enjoy it. The Mr. Warren Hayes Show. The Mr. Warren Hayes Show has been released also this week on Wednesday. It was, of course, made available on podcast formats. If you're like going around your YouTube feeding like, what? I didn't see it. How come I don't see it? Well, that's because it's not on YouTube anymore. It's exclusively for audio podcast, and go and enjoy that there. Plus, the Dynamite review was released earlier today. Hey, how about that? How about that for a guy pumping out 3 different types of content in one day? Well, I mean, three pieces of content, I should say. We're not 3 different types. I did the G1 review earlier today, released the Dynamite review as well today, and here I am live stream. Don't any one of you motherfuckers ever tell me that I don't have the passion for this, that I don't like this with all my heart. No one, there better not be a single person ever dare tell me that, 'cause I'll sock them in the mouth. I won't sock them in the mouth. I'm completely nonviolent. Shut up, DGMC. Been putting up with you for 96 months. Yeah, get that strong. Oh, well, I learned it from watching the American government. That's what, that's how I... Yeah, let's get on with this. We're going to start out with something a little fun. Are you excited for fun? I like fun. We're going to start off with something a little on the silly side here. I think this is the first one here. No, that's not. Is this the first one here? Okay. I think it's this one here, the first one. I got them all out of order. Jordynne Grace today, or yesterday, August 12th, posts this on her Twitter account. Okay, this is official Jordynne Grace. Does everyone remember Jordynne Grace? You know, I don't know if you remember Jordynne Grace. She had this star-making Royal Rumble appearance a couple of years ago. You remember that? You remember? That was absolutely like, wow, right? And then like she was still in TNA at the time, but then she'd show up in NXT. And then people were like super excited. It was like, oh, what a great partnership. And Jordynne Grace showing up in NXT, and that's so tremendous. And then she finally signs with WWE. And then what? What's going on? What's going on? She tweeted this yesterday on August the 12th. And I read, Cage Match banned my account for spamming 1-star ratings on my enemies. Somehow this is a quote response to a Twitter rando who tweeted at Jordynne Grace, WikiFeet rating greater than Cage Match rating. Now, I do not care to know where this started. If we are talking about WikiFeet, I am not no kink shaming here. All I'm saying is that I am not interested in seeing where this conversation started, where we had to go down this lane. That being said, Cage Match banned my account for spamming 1-star ratings on my enemies. I guess folks started talking about it and whatnot, and but she tweeted this out to follow. And this was tweeted out again yesterday. She says, they said it was a warning, but banned my account. They strict. And she shares with us the screen cap of the ban of the reason for her warning, the consequences of the warning. She shares this with us. Due to the severity of the violations, all of your ratings and comments have been removed. You are free to continue to use the rating system if you wish. And if you follow the rules from now on, there will be no further warnings. Keep in mind that continued misuse of the rating system will result in further warnings, and you may be banned from participating in the rating system altogether. Okay? Then she goes ahead and shares something a little later, sharing more screen caps. Because she doesn't understand why she was banned after just getting one warning. And she shares the screen caps of, I guess, the email that Cage Match sent to her. And she tweets with this caption saying, how y'all gonna ban me after one warning at CM Cage Match? That's right. She added Cage Match about this possible, inexplicable ban. And here are the screenshots. They read, you have been warned. This is the warning. The other one seemed like the ban result, right? Here's the warning. You have been warned for misuse of the cagematch.net ratings. You blocking out the username. I wonder why. Have been warned because of the following violations of the cagematch.net rating system rules. And here's the item list. Imbalanced rating pattern, e.g., only 10s and or 0s or close to the extremes. That's it. There's not a multitude of reasons. It was just because she, like she said, she's spamming ones on her enemies. Consequences of the warning. Due to the severity of the violations, all your ratings and comments have been removed. You are free to continue the system. It's what she shared in the previous tweet, essentially. It's part of the warning. But she got banned. And she doesn't understand. She said, whoa, after one warning, I get banned? Hell yeah. Look, I know, and if you use Cage Match, you probably realize it as well. Cage Match doesn't fuck around with their moderation. They do not have time for this kind of bullshit. They do not suffer fools. They do not tolerate review bombing. They just outright get rid of you. They don't give a shit. So I'm not surprised. I look at all of this and I'm like, wow, Jordan, I mean, to be expected, quite honestly. Now, I think, she's posting all of this, and I cannot but find this incredibly funny. Like, I think she's posting this in a way to say, hey, Cage Match, how come you're being a dick to me? I think that has to be it, right? Why else would you be posting this? Why else would you be putting Cage Match on blast, adding them? Why would you be doing that if not to generate sympathy from your fan base and sort of like, look how evil and nasty these guys. All I got was one warning and they banned me. They didn't give me a second, a third. 3 strikes, you're out, right? Isn't that how sports works? But no, they're just like, nah, fuck this shit. Hit the bricks. Let's get out of here. The really funny thing is that I legitimately believe that Jordan thought when she posted this yesterday, Cage Match banned my account for spamming 1-star ratings on my enemies. I don't think she realizes how much of a self-own that was. I don't think she realizes just how sad it is. Just essentially proving how terminally online Jordan Grace is, where she will have time in her day. And I know she's not being booked right now. She's, sitting around in catering, waiting for her turn. While meanwhile, WWE officials, are like, well, we're not going to book her. She looks too masculine. That would be the only reason, right? She's a talented pro wrestler. She's good at what she does. Why would they be having her sit down? Anyway, they're banning my account because I'm spamming. She outright admits to it. And then she goes, I only got one warning. All right. How many fucking times did you spam the 1-star rating on your enemies, like you said? How can you imagine how many times she did that? For Cage Match to go, okay, warning. It's probably like an automated thing, right? Where there's a certain threshold and then Cage Match, the system automatically sends the warning. And then maybe a moderator gets flagged when someone gets a warning. And then that person looks over the history and they're like, no, okay, that's it. Bad. Can you imagine how bad? Can you imagine how bad her spamming history has to be for her to turn around and go, for the mods, to go around and go, no, she got the warning, but fuck it, she's done. or they're done because she probably didn't sign in to. She probably didn't sign in, with an account that says at Jordan Grace TNA, type of thing. She probably didn't do that. She had probably some dopey name, right? And she's out there admitting it. And she's like, hey, I got a warning and then I got banned. But it's extremely sad. It is so terribly sad. CageMatch.net, this resource that a lot of us love to use for reasons outside of the ratings and whatnot. It's just, having the database of pro wrestling at your fingertips. That is, it's a treasure. CageMatch.net is a treasure. Having that at your fingertips, whatnot. And then this thing that most wrestlers will tell you, right? Who gives a fuck about Cage Match? Then you've got wrestlers going around outright saying on the world's what's the term that they use? Shit, the world's town square, that they're spamming negative ratings on the people they don't like, and they're doing it so much that Cage Match has to go, this is a troll account. We got to dump it. That's how bad it is. And somehow, she's like, no, they only gave me a warning. This is unfair, you guys. Like, cue the big demo tweet. I understand, but holy fucking shit, do you have to be so clueless about everything to be doing that? It's absolutely preposterous. And on top of it all, right? To a degree, the icing on the cake here is that this is all plausible, that it's Jordan Grace. Because I've seen people say, oh, well, Warren, I think she's just fooling around. I think she's just goofing. Jordan Grace is a historically terminally online professional wrestler. And you can go back, you can look at her history. This has been going on for years. This is someone who printed not one, but 2 books. When I say printed, put together 2 books of DMs that she would receive from Twitter randos talking about her, saying deplorable shit. Don't get me wrong. The amount of fucking weirdos that show up in people's DMs on Twitter. When I say people, women's DMs on Twitter absolutely is significantly junk, right? She decided to do 2 books like that. And she's often online. And in the past, I believe she has been connected to 2 burner accounts. I believe in the past. I think it was 2. That suddenly just disappeared off the internet. I think someone even, with all of this going on, I think someone outright called her air gold. And boy, she did not like that. Quite frankly, if this was anyone else than Jordan Grace, if this was anyone else who didn't really care about what people say about them online, that you could see it, right? That you can see it in their behavior. If it was someone who doesn't have a history of responding to randos, getting angry at online things, and so on and so forth, I would probably say, oh, this feels like jokey jokes and whatnot. I feel like this is a gas. But it's not. But it's Jordan Grace. I have a high tendency to believe that all of this is legitimate. that this is all real things that have happened and that she feels slighted that one of her and it's probably just one of her burners, right? Because you know what a normal human being does in this type of situation is not post a goddamn thing about it and open up another burner and continue. That's all. Associate another email to it and go on. That's all. That's all. I mean, it's not that hard, right? And you don't make a case out of it. You don't go online saying, hey, I'm spending time going after people, my enemies, like she says, to devalue their worth on cagematch.net. And then, look, if you want to start thinking, hey, by the way, she probably also has, she probably also has, what's the other one? A Dropkicked account too. She probably does that too. She probably does that there as well. Absolutely. Holy cow. What was that? Yeah, you heard that too, eh, Juno? I think someone like let off a firecracker or something. Got Juno by surprise. Because she jumped in here to check out the window. I think it's fine, darling. Sorry about the interruption. Anyway. I don't think these are necessarily jokes. I don't think these are jokes at all. I think she thinks she's... I think maybe she's trying to brush it off as a joke. But the thing is that I entirely buy this because it's Jordan Grace. 100%. I believe that this is happening because Jordan is way too online. She is one of those wrestlers who just cannot log off. Think it's a work? No, how can it be? There's no way. There is no way the guys from Cage Match would work an angle with a pro wrestler. Absolutely not. Like my old lady said, Gresh has to be doing this too. Let's not forget that Jonathan Gresham was the guy who just around the time Ring of Honor was picked up by Tony Khan and the first show was being set up, right? He was supposed to defend the Ring of Honor title against Claudio, right? Got upset at the booking and clamored his positioning on the PWI 500 as a response as to why he shouldn't lose to Claudio or he should be treated with more respect. I'm not quite sure what the angle was. You know, it's like, yeah, why would this be a work? Indeed, why would this be a work? Because the work has to come to money. The work has to create money. How are you making money off of a feud with a website? It doesn't make any sense to me. It makes no sense. It's preposterous. It's preposterous and it's hilarious. I can't believe that she decided to go down this route and just completely expose herself and say, "Oh, my account has been banned because I'm spamming ones." Why are you doing this? I know professional wrestlers, etc., etc. Like I said earlier, the big Damo tweet, but Jesus Christ. Anyway, a little something to wet our whistle to start things off here tonight. Hey, Big Man Dogs, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. And here I thought she was doing humble 3 out of 10 reviews for Hikaru Shida matches. Applebee's kicked me out of the restaurant for pissing everywhere. Let's get them, guys. Has she ever been booked in WWE? She's done stuff in NXT, right? Wasn't she NXT Women's Champion or some? They had her do things, and then they called her up, and she's been, I don't know, she's been relegated to memory as far as I know. I have personal knowledge of at least 3 pre-Tony Ring of Honor stalwarts bagging on TK. Only one of them got picked up. I'll leave you to guess whom. Meaning they bagged on Tony until he bought Ring of Honor. I think it's pretty clear. Anyway, so that's one to start us off a little amuse-bouche. And then I was like, oh, this is exciting. We're going to get into the news and it'll be exciting. But no, because I saw something like 30 minutes or so before the stream started. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. Okay. All right then. We got to talk about Eric Bischoff. Just as we thought, chat, guys and gals and non-binary pals, just as we thought that Eric Bischoff was maybe turning a corner against WWE because, you know, whatever reason we wanted to invent in our brains, something maybe related to WWE radio opportunities that are no longer open to him because he started being critical of WWE and, you know, are agreeing with Conrad Thompson that Roman Reigns is an all-time overrated WWE champion, that Triple H was, you know, he never had the star power. You never looked at Triple H when he was starting up and say, that guy's going to be a star, you know, type of thing. And you're like, oh, what's going on? Well, then we turn around here and we get ourselves a quote from his podcast that sets things back on track. But not only that, and look, he says stupid shit all the time. But this level of stupid, I cannot abide by. And that's why I've decided to talk about it on the show, on the stream. Because this is preposterous levels of idiocy. And I'm going to read this, not just idiocy. It's a full mask-off moment for Eric Bischoff and what he thinks about professional wrestling fans. I'm going to read this quote. I believe it comes from the most recent episode of 83 Weeks. When I say I believe, I mean, I was going to say I believe today, but I don't know if it came out today or yesterday. And frankly, I don't care. But it is from the most recent episode. I'm going to read the quote because they're talking about tickets and SummerSlam. This is what they're talking about. And remember this. This is a man who positions himself as being this business genius, right? This is a guy whose whole shtick was, oh, I'm a business guy. I beat WWE 83 weeks in a row. I'm the successful promoter and whatnot. Let's not forget that. So this is the quote. You're not experiencing just a PLE. And I think that's where entertainment in general is going. Not just wrestling, not just WWE, but I think entertainment is going in that direction. And I think it's great. You're always going to have people complaining about the price of tickets, but tough. You know, get an extra job. Save some money up. You know, quit drinking like 3 12-packs of Mountain Dew during the week and throw a couple of bucks in a jar and you'll be able to afford to go, whatever. I think the overall fan experience is what they're focusing on, and I think they're doing it smart. Back in April, I wrote a piece for Voices of Wrestling called The Price of Admission. And maybe some of you lovelies have read it. But my argument was, for those of you who didn't, my argument was one sentence long. Wrestling priced out the people it was built for. In the version I told, in the version of the story that I told in April, that was it was a corporate story, right? I was talking about executives on earning calls using words like yield and margin and opportunity, the coldest way you can approach things, right? It was arithmetic, and nobody was talking about you personally. And now Eric Bischoff decides to approach this personally. He's talking about you, the wrestling fan. I'm going to break down his little quote here, because we're going to fill this up here because of the research I did in my article. I feel compelled. I feel like I have the expertise here to sort of talk about this. He says, you're always going to have people complaining about the price of tickets, but tough. Right? But tough. That's not a counter argument. That's not saying, he doesn't say price reflect demand. He does not say the business has changed. He says tough titties, guys. You do not say tough to a customer. You say tough to a subordinate. And even there, you got to be careful. You say that to your children, right? When you want them to learn a lesson, you say it to someone whose complaint you have already decided is illegitimate before you even heard it. Get an extra job, he says. Incredible. A pricing decision made in a conference room becomes a personal problem inside your house. Darling, you and the kids, I really want to take you to WrestleMania. So, for the rest of the year, I secured myself a second job. I'm working weekends on top of my 9 to 5 over the weekend. I might even fill in, on a few nights a week. Sorry, but this is what we're doing here. You, the consumer, if you're not making it to WrestleMania, you failed to earn enough. And then I find the most boomer reaction here, the most insipid, stupid one, and the one that goes completely mask off. Quit drinking like 3 12-packs of Mountain Dew during the week. Nobody asked him about Mountain Dew. No one told him about, no one brought up the idea of one's consumer other habits, right? The question is about ticket prices, not the fan's diet, not how the fan is consuming their money. Nobody asked about the fan's discipline, the fan's habits, the fan's grocery lists. And in the space of about 2 seconds, Eric Bischoff invented a human being in his mind and handed him a beverage. 36 cans of soda a week. That's 5 a day, every day. You do not reach for that image unless it is already sitting right there, loaded and ready to go in your weasel brain, waiting for a reason to come out. That is not an observation about the world. That is a portrait. That is a persona that has been created in Eric Bischoff's mind, fat, undisciplined, broke by his own hand. That's what he thinks. And Mountain Dew specifically, which is about as class-coded a product as it exists in the United States of America, and he knows exactly what it signals because he's throwing because he's throwing out there things knowing that signal has been there for the eternity that he's been working in professional wrestling. Throw a couple of bucks in a jar, he says. A jar. Not a budget, a jar. Not a savings account. Just throw a couple of bucks in a jar and you'll be able to make it to WWE. You know, come on, kid, you know, get a paper route and throw a few, throw your money in a jar and then you'll be able to buy your bicycle. He's talking to us, to you, the wrestling fan, as if you're fucking 7 years old. And then the last thing he says, and you'll be and you'll be able to afford to go, comma, whatever. He loses interest in his own sentence. He cannot hold on to what he's saying. He has nothing else about this fan to say anything, to finish the thought about them, essentially. The contempt is bored. It's as if he's had this discussion before. You know, I know he's being stupid, but, 12 packs a week is roughly $25, okay? Let's just have a little fun with the math here for a second. 12 packs a week is about $25 a week. Over a year, that's about $1,300. So technically, yes, the jar gets you there. But what Eric Bischoff described is a working person redirecting an entire year of discretionary spending to buy the single worst seat in the building. $854 for the upper deck at WrestleMania 42 before Ticketmaster fees. That is the price of one ticket. One show. Before travel, before a hotel room in Las Vegas, before a shirt, before food, before the other tickets for the family. That's a luxury good delivered by a man who thinks that you should be able to afford this. Completely fucking disconnected. He uses internet fans as a category of illegitimate taste. He once said that AEW has an 80% lock on the internet wrestling audience and that they cater to those people exclusively, while WWE builds a broader one, right? He's hand-waved Kazuchika Okada as a basically out-known outside the internet. These are things that he's said before in the past. And he has openly mocked the idea of wrestling being, a safe place for all wrestling fans. That's something that he completely mocks. Same thing every time. There are real fans and there are wrong fans. And the wrong fans have bad tastes, bad opinions, and now apparently drink too much Mountain Dew and have bad finances because of that. These comments are not technically a departure from what Eric Bischoff thinks about the audience. I think it's the purest vision he's ever given us. Because this time, the sorting criteria is money. And money is something everyone can see. And this is so much worse than just a bad take, because you see a reflection of a persona here. You see a reflection of someone who has contempt for the audience that he's catered to. The people that he still caters to. To this day, with his dopey podcast, the amount of contempt that he has for these people is preposterous. It's literally, it's on the exact same level of disdain that Triple H has for the fans too. Just enjoy the product. I wish people just would enjoy the show. Me and my friend Mark. None of this is new. And none of this is new for Bischoff. But it's the purest vision that we've seen of it since. When Mark Shapiro looks at you, regular Joe, regular schmuck with a spam hat on his head, he sees a number that could be higher. This is what maxing the opportunity means, right? And it's cold. It's corporate. It's completely impersonal. Shapiro has never, when he sees you, doesn't see you as a person. He sees you as a line in his spreadsheets. Eric Bischoff, however, just pictured you. He pictured you and he gave you a case of soda and he said, you can't come to WrestleMania because this is your own damn fault. That's the difference between a business decision and contempt. I can't believe that Eric Bischoff is making me picture Mark Shapiro in a bit of a better light here. TKO, but nonetheless, like TKO doesn't care who's in the venue. They don't. Bischoff has opinions about who should be. In April, in my article on Vow, I wrote that the people who own wrestling now looked at the room and decided the wrong people were in it. Eric Bischoff is the guy who showed up afterwards to explain why they deserve to be thrown out. Because you're unpaid, you're unkempt, and you're irresponsible. Those are the reasons there. And I know what people are going to say. Like, I mean, first of all, they're going to say, "Oh, Eric is a heel," but no, he's not. No, there's no heel in this circumstance. Oh, he's healing it up. It's a work. A work for what? What's the work? What is the work? What's the work? There's no work here. 83 Weeks is a shoot podcast. The entire product, the reason anybody subscribes is Eric Bischoff, the former failed wrestling executive, telling you how the business, quote unquote, actually works. You cannot sell candor as the merchandise and then hide behind kayfabe when it's convenient. That doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. Eric Bischoff established himself as a legitimate former television bigwig. He is the character. He is the product. He can't disown it when he wants. That type of reasoning doesn't work. And then the other counter argument that people can say, well, Warren, this is all normal. It's supply and demand. Well, why didn't Eric talk about that? Why didn't he talk about that? He immediately goes to, oh, you fucking wrestling fan slobs don't deserve it because you can't control, because you don't know how to spend your money. Nick Khan said on an earnings call that cutting non-televised event created scarcity in the marketplace for the televised ones. I'm not making this shit up. That's what they said about a year ago or so when they decided to cut down on the house shows. I mean, Mark Shapiro was even blunter than that. He said the scarcity is creating demand and the demand is giving them more pricing power. They took away the cheap option on purpose. Bischoff is telling you, work a second shift, you fucking slobs, you fucking lazy bums. If this guy was even remotely close to being the business genius that he thinks he is, he could have run through this short paragraph that I just went through, and I'm an idiot. I'm a certified dummy. And yet I figured this shit out. I'm no great shakes, and I figured this out. I've never run a multi-million-dollar wrestling company. I've never run a wrestling company that played on TV. Never done that. And yet I understand why the price of tickets is high and is unaffordable, and that's because TKO is creating artificial scarcity for the product. And they said it themselves, it benefits us. So maybe Eric Bischoff doesn't understand that. And I wouldn't put it past him. I don't think he's the sharpest tool in the shed. But if he does understand that, and his analysis, the path he decided to go, nonetheless, if he did understand the artificial scarcity, the artificial scarcity situation that TKO is creating, and he decided nonetheless to go down the path of creating a persona to explain why people can't afford to go to WrestleMania, He is a scumbag. And he is absolutely in contempt of you, the normal, regular Joe wrestling fan. Because it is a contemptible thing to say. Prices going high are seldom the problem of the consumer. It's seldom the fault of the consumer. And somehow, I can't believe, I'm so torn. Because on one hand, I can believe that Eric doesn't understand it. But on the other hand, I also understand that, I also feel that he does understand it. And that makes it worse. It makes everything he said worse if he does understand it. And folks, I didn't make this up. What TKO is doing. It's not my speculation. It's not me going around, well, they probably did this. They went on earnings calls and said it themselves. It's not made up. They told us, bald-faced, arrogantly, we're pulling the cheaper shows so that people will buy tickets to the more expensive ones. He never said the price was fair. He never defends the number. He doesn't argue that $854 is a reasonable amount to go watch a wrestling show and have one of the worst seats in the building. He never says that in his response. He says you're the problem. And these are two completely different arguments. And only one of them tells you anything about the person making it. Nobody asked him about Mountain Dew. Nobody asked him about wrestling fans spending their spending abilities or their habits, spending habits. He was asked why people can't afford to go to the ticket, and his response was, wrestling fans are a bunch of fucking bums. I did not think that I would ever be in a position where I could feel even more contempt for this man. And I don't know how anyone listens to this guy and goes, excellent point. Excellent point. You know what, Eric? Next year, for WrestleMania, I'm getting a second job and I just might remortgage my house for a third time. By the way, Eric, you could probably find me a good deal on a mortgage, right? Through savewithconrad.com, right? Right? Yeah. I legitimately loathe this man. I sincerely and deeply loathe him. He's asked about ticket prices and he makes it about wrestling fans. He is a preposterous, low-level scumbag. What are Eric Bischoff's redeeming qualities anymore? I don't see them. I really don't see them. Hey, D. Owens, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. It is very nice to see you. D. Owens is a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Has Bischoff ever been mask on? I think he hid. Yeah, I think he's hidden his contempt for wrestling fans better than this. I think he did. Drop Salt, nice to see you too. Welcome to the chat. I have 2 jobs and I can't afford their stupid tickets. I guess F me. Yeah. Increasing ticket prices is an anti-growth strategy that provides short-term gains. It's going to hurt the whole business long-term. this is also very true. Hello, Kristen. Nice to see you, darling. Welcome to the chat. Kristen is also a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. It's weird how shaming people into buying WWE tickets is kind of on a downturn recently. Remember those times when the NFL and MLB blasted the poors that couldn't afford a ticket? No, I don't remember those times because I didn't really follow sports. I really don't. I hope Conrad at least did a Save with Conrad plug after that lashing out with Bischoff. He very likely did. Remember when everyone made fun of Dave for equating the word mark when used within wrestling circles to a racial slur? This is what these people think of us. Exactly. Exactly. Dave went a little hard, but his point does stand. He is correct. Anyway. Reading that really bothered me. And at first, I thought the comment was so preposterous that I was like, this can't be real. Like, that was my first. I think I saw. I think it was Robert O'Neill who retweeted it, and it's our boy Rixos from the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord who put that all together on Blue Sky. But it was Robert O'Neill that I saw it off first, and I just responded to him. I was like, this can't be real, right? And then I did a little research and was like, oh fuck, it is real. Like it's such a preposterous statement. There was no way it was real. And yet, here we are. And here we are. So there we go. Anyway, moving on. Quick preview of the G1 Climax 36 semifinals and finals happening this very weekend. Saturday, August 15, Sunday, August 16, from the Ryogoku Sumo Hall in Tokyo. 2 nights back to back. Night 1 semifinals, which are going to be constituted of Yuya Uemura, who was the runner-up of B block against the winner of A block, the IWGP heavyweight champion. Oh, I'll be crucified by the New Japan fans for that slip up, Yota Tsuji. And then the main event will be the runner-up of A block, Ryohei Oiwa, my guy, my boy, taking on Callum Newman, the winner of B block. These should be 2 very good matches. I'm very much looking forward to both. I think these are going to be rock and roll level matches. Very excited for it. I think with how things have been, knowing the booking patterns and the reflexes and whatnot, I would consider that Yuya versus Oiwa will end up being your finals on Sunday. I think that has the highest level of possibility leading into Sunday. And I think it's probably the best match they could do to elevate either one of these 2 guys. It's the one that has the more unpredictable finish. If Yoda ends up in the finals, well, I think the finish is kind of contrived. I think whoever his opponent is going to be will end up being the winner, because New Japan just doesn't have champions win the G1. Like, it's like, motherfucker, you already have a championship. You don't need any more. And I don't think I don't think they're going to do Yuya versus Callum because if I'm not mistaken, and I'm just going to double check here, I think that the finals of the New Japan Cup this year was exactly that. I think it was Newman and Umera. I'm just gonna get a quick double check here to make sure. I think it was him and Yuya, right? That's right. I was correct. So I don't think they're gonna rerun that main event. I don't think they're gonna do that. That would be I would be shocked if they run that again. And like I said, adding Yoda to the, since he's the champion, like then you can immediately go, oh, well, the other guy's winning. And leading into the G1 this year, Yuya and Oiwa, I can't remember where exactly they had a match. Don't remember exactly which show. Was it Sakura Genesis? I don't think it was Dominion. They had a match at some point. And commentary was really putting over the idea that Oiwa and Umera were career rivals, right? That there was a lot of history already between the two, and they were generational rivals and whatnot. So that would make for a really that's something that just nourishes very easily their main event. I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that they can do. It's the kind of thing that New Japan likes to do. I don't know. I don't see Callum Newman moving forward. Not with Umera on the other side moving forward. But maybe they'll go with Yota Tsuji, but then New Japan doesn't have a habit of having the guy win the New Japan Cup also win the G1 Climax. They usually like to keep it fresh, usually. So if you ask me, I think the clearer path or the more compelling main event is Yuya versus Ryohei. That's what we're going to get. And like I said, like it makes for a really exciting main event because these are two guys who can benefit from this push. And it's two guys where you're like, okay, well, one of these guys then is going to challenge for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And he might even go to the Tokyo Dome. Because there's one thing, I don't think the winner of the G1 now immediately gets a shot at the Tokyo Dome anymore. I don't think that's a thing. They haven't been doing that for the past couple of years. Right? They didn't do it with Zack when he won 2 years ago. They didn't do it with Konosuke Takeshita last year. He challenged for the title beforehand. Both guys challenged for the title during the fall. So it's not even a question of getting a shot at the Tokyo Dome. It's just like getting a shot, period. So they might be able to punch their ticket after in a match against Yota Tsuji. So who would be the guy then who would likely be champion on January 4th, 2027? Yuya Umera or Ryohei Oiwa? I think if you're going to belt up one of these two with the top prize in the land, as much as Ryohei Oiwa is my guy, I think there's still work to do. I think you try out Yuya Umera. I think Yuya is one of the best of the young he's the best, most well-polished, smoothest wrestler that the young crop of guys have. Yoda's stock went up during this preview of Monday. His stock went up over the course of the tournament. I think he's been phenomenal. But he's not as an overall good product as Yuya is at this point. Might as well try him out. This is what New Japan has to do regardless. They have to try guys out in these spots. See how the crowd reacts. See how they react. The wrestlers themselves, the guy, whoever they decide to belt up, how are they going to lean into to this championship and whatnot? So for all of those reasons, I don't think Oiwa is just quite there yet. I think he's tremendous. I see nothing but big things for him. I think he's got it. Once he puts everything together, he's going to be so cool. He's going to be headlocking idiots into submission for the rest of his career on the biggest stages that Japan and maybe beyond has to offer. Very excited for that, for his future. But yeah, I think that ultimately, if we do end up with Oiwa and Yumera, and I think, even if we end up with Callum Newman, I think Yumera is the guy that you push forward here. Because Callum Newman, here's the other thing. Callum Newman is going to be fine. Callum Newman is going to be fine. He's got the whole Will Ospreay story that they're going to deal with. I thought the Will Ospreay thing would be done by Dominion, but clearly not. So clearly, once Will wins the AEW World Championship, and then they move on, they move on with them in AEW as the top guy. We're gonna have the United Empire schism to deal with at the same time. It's gonna go both ways. So Callum, essentially, what I'm saying is he's going to be in a big time, high profile program. There's no reason to strap the IWGP title on him. There really isn't. And Tsuji, well, look, I think Yota Tsuji winning the G1 would be the worst decision that this company could do and would make me angry. Because Tsuji at this point does not need the extra boost. There are other guys who would benefit from the elevation of winning a G1, from feeling that they've got the wind behind their sails. Tsuji doesn't need this at this point. And I even think that after this tournament, people believe in Yota Tsuji a lot more than going in. So he doesn't need it. We really don't need this for him moving forward. I think it would be the worst decision if they went down that. I want to make that clear. Would be absolutely the worst. So be looking forward to that. We'll talk more. We'll break it all down on Monday, but I want to at least, set the floor here, have it on the record so that all you fools, all you Mountain Dew drinking, money unconscious weirdos can keep me honest when Monday comes around. And then we have Hiroyoshi Tenzan, who is going to have his retirement match on Saturday against his old friend, Satoshi Kojima. It's going to be a 5-minute thing, just an exhibition match, just giving him a reason. It'll probably go to a draw. It'll be what it is. And then we'll have a nice little ceremony after. New Japan usually does these things very, very right. I'm looking forward to it. This will probably be a very lovely, emotional moment. This is a guy who's also worked with a lot of young guys in the company right now. So I don't think it'll be just a bunch of young guys out there showing lip service. I think there's a few of them that are going to be truly impacted by this, and that'll be nice. New Japan usually gets the little retirement ceremonies, very, very, and I say the little, even the big ones. Like they absolutely fucking nailed Hiroshi Tanahashi's retirement match earlier this year. Like they absolutely nailed it from top to bottom, right down to the rolling stage where he'd go around saying goodbye to everyone, being pushed around by the young lions, all the way down to that. Like they just absolutely nailed that shit up and down. It'll be cool. It'll be cool to see. We're not sending Hiroyoshi Tenzan off on that level, but nonetheless, I thought like what they did with Tiger Mask was tremendous. I'm looking forward to it. And Chris Charlton, I mentioned it a little bit on today's coverage of night 17 that I did here on the show. Chris Charlton mentioned that they were going that we should expect surprises, right? You know, and this is not Triple H saying, "Oh, there's going to be surprises," and then nothing happens. Like it's just like the most boring, generic, dull shit, right? No. But they're, you know, like going around, Chris Charlton was saying, come join us this weekend. You know, the end of the G1, there's a lot of stuff happening. We're setting things up for the fall, you know, and he was basically saying there's some surprise. He was outright saying there is going to be some surprises. And what are these surprises? Well, you know, there's people that have been waiting in the wings, allegedly, to debut in New Japan at any given moment, right? Shun Skywalker from Dragon Gate being probably the biggest name going around in Puro circles as being signed by New Japan. Of course, there's nothing that's confirmed, but everyone is sort of assuming that he's been signed and that they're just waiting for the moment to debut him. It could be here, especially since Shun deleted all of his tweets from his account this week, which is leading some people, again, in Puro circles to believe that Skywalker might debut without a mask, that his mask days might be over, because apparently he's a very handsome young man. So we might be going in that direction. We might be having a surprise debut. You've got Dragon Daya as well, who's been his name's been circulating for fucking months now. This is another guy who left Dragon Gate and who left with the Dragon appellation, right? Which is something that you pass down in Dragon Gate, the Dragon moniker. And he's apparently gone. And the rumor has been for the most persistent amount of time that he's going to be the new Tiger Mask. He'd be the fifth, right? Tiger Mask 5. Apparently he'd be the fifth Tiger Mask. And if that happens, I mean, he's abandoning one classic moniker to adopt another one. That would be a big deal for Japanese fans. But yeah, like apparently he's been hanging around and they're just waiting to debut him. Apparently he's already been signed. And there might be other surprises. I wouldn't be surprised if Will Ospreay is there this weekend. If I'm not mistaken, he is not beholden to any wrestling engagements, right? There's nothing AEW related for him to do. Maybe does it clash a little too much with the road to All In? I don't think it matters, honestly. I don't think it matters. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's there to support Callum Newman, because we've got to pull the trigger here on Callum Newman doing a full turn on Will. And Will has been mentioning his issues with the United Empire on TV recently, on AEW television. So, you know, maybe he's going to, maybe he'll show up. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if some guys get re-added to the United Empire group chat either this weekend. Just saying. Wouldn't be surprised if it happened. That's what we should look forward to. I think the semifinals have the potential to rock and roll. And I think the final, I think a Yumera and Oiwa final is a tremendous test for both guys, throwing them in the deep end, seeing how they float or swim. You mostly want them to swim more than float, right? So see how watch them swim. I think that would be tremendous. So, voila. We'll talk about this again on Monday on stream. And if you can't make it on stream, don't worry. It would all be part of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast on audio platforms this Wednesday. Are you still out on Sonata, or has he redeemed himself with this G1 performance? I think Sonata was better than I thought he would be. He didn't. I was afraid that he was going to get overwhelmed with that he was going to overwhelm everyone, I should say, with House of Torture nonsense, but that really wasn't the case. Not in his case. It really, really, really wasn't. He was just a heel cheating as opposed to the fucking clown car every time. I think he was better than I expected. Do I suddenly see a redemption arc for Sonata where, turns out this guy is actually good? No. Because I've seen Sleepy Sonata through this tournament as well, but there's been some moments where he was surprisingly good. So yeah, if anything, if we're talking about stocks being raised, I think his stock went up a little bit. I think people are not as dismissive of him after this. It'd be some nice little mid-card momentum to capitalize on. I mean, I'm not suddenly sitting here and saying, oh yeah, he put him back in the main event scene. Let's never do that again. But, I think, maybe we're casting him off as a high-level jobber too quickly. Only case for Tsuji winning the G1 is if he somehow convinced Okada to put him over at Wrestle Kingdom. Yes, that's pretty much it. I heard a lot of the young guys like him because he's the good cop in the dojo. Are we talking about Tsuji? Or are we talking about Tenzan? Because a lot of the young guys do like Hiroyoshi Tenzan. That is true. And if we're talking about Yota Tsuji, well, Yota Tsuji he's established himself as the locker room leader. So Tenzan, okay. Yes, a lot of the young guys like Tenzan. He's been good with the trainings, and that's going to continue. Don't get me wrong. He's not like completely disappearing from pro wrestling. He just wants to have his in-ring retirement. Which version of HTML is New Japan's website? It's a good question. Should we pull an inspect? I mean, with the influx of new money that is going to come in now that they're a member of Cyber Agent, I would hope that all this stuff will get better. I would really hope so. Are there any signals here? I don't necessarily see anything that's a huge tell. But this website has survived a couple of generations intact, right? But I mean, like that, Bushiroad just didn't want to invest in this, And from what I understand, it's pretty much one guy who works at this. And they used to have another guy do graphics and whatnot, but that guy's gone. And from all I understand, he's with AEW now. This sounds ludicrous, but I think a tag team run as last of LIJ would be good for Shingo and Sonata. It does sound ludicrous. I think Sonata in the vicinity of Shingo is a detriment to Shingo. Shingo's in a great group right now. Like, he's the elder statesman. He's got all these young guys. It rules. All right, back to the docket. You lovely people. Leave a like on the stream, by the way. I mean, if you're enjoying it. But it would be nice if you left us. If you did leave a like, that would be tremendous. From one tournament to another, the Continental Challenge Cup, the C3, is underway. It started this past week on AEW Collision with a couple of matches there, and we had a couple of matches on Dynamite as well. We had 2 matches, right? Yes, because there's 5 results there. So we had that happening this week. Claudio Castagnoli defeated Ace Austin. Eddie Kingston defeated Jake Doyle. Orange Cassidy over Matt Sydal. That all happened on Collision. And then this past week on Dynamite, David Finlay was unable to get over Jay White, and Jon Moxley defeated Jack Perry in a terrific, awesome main event of Dynamite. Jack Perry just laid it completely all out there, and a truly awesome finale and a great way to kick off Mox's tournament. Holy shit, that match ruled. I loved it. Talk about it on the review, of course, a little more at length. So we're not going to, if you want to hear my full thoughts, they're there. But what a showing by Jack Perry. I think he's starting to understand what kind of niche he can fill in. Look, you know, I have always enjoyed Jack Perry's work. I think his presentation sometimes has been a little too off the wall. It's good that they tried the heel turn. I know people really hated it, but it's good they tried. Sometimes you have to mix things up. I think he's going to find himself a sweet spot very, very soon, especially if he continues wrestling like he did against Mox. But then he's not going to be wrestling Mox every week either. So there's also that coming up. But overall thoughts so far, I thought the collision matches were pretty good. I thought it were good. I think my favorite match was the Castagnoli Ace Austin match. I thought that one had, more variety, felt more like a match. That was really good. I thought that Orange Cassidy and Matt Sydal was very fun, high flying, high energy, entertaining. Orange Cassidy and Sydal did the gimmicks and whatnot. It's fine, but the work was there. That was the most important thing. In fact, in all these matches, the effort is there, right? And then Eddie Kingston and Jake Doyle. Look, Eddie Kingston, I know he's a huge topic of conversation. I think AEW is better off with Eddie Kingston on television. I really do. Even if it is just to come out and cut promos and run people down. The authenticity that he brings to a pro wrestling program is unmatched. Like, there's a lot of people who will pretend to deliver authentic moments and whatnot, and then you've got Eddie Kingston, who is consistently going out there with his heart on his sleeve. He was very good, considering his position, considering his injury, and he's getting up there too. He's creeping onto the big old 5-0 as well. And Eddie Kingston, and we're just being honest with each other here. And I'm sure he would say the same thing. Eddie Kingston was never the work rate machine, right? He always excelled in doing his vision of Kings Road Wrestling. That's what he always wanted to do. He just wanted to get in there, beat people up, get himself beaten up. That was essentially it, right? But not the most consistent worker either, but a guy who always got himself over, always came across as a working class champion, as a blue collar guy, because it's fucking Eddie Kingston. That's who he is. That is his struggle, and he makes it part of his persona, and it resonates with people. So people got excited when Eddie Kingston was announced for the tournament, and I thought he had a perfect opponent to start the tournament off in Jake Doyle that could work the style that Eddie really likes and excels in. And I thought Eddie had the best performance he's had since coming back from injury. I think, bar none, I don't even think it's up for debate. So a good opener. Talked about Moxley and Perry, and I talk about them at length as well. Both of the Dynamite C3 matches, talk about them at length on the podcast, on the Dynamite review. Jesus. And I really like David Finlay and Jay White. The story around Jay White's neck was very good, and I think it was done in a way that didn't insult your intelligence as a wrestling fan. At the same time, it wasn't something where Jay White had to be rolling around on the floor for an entire 5-minute sequence, holding on to his neck as Dave Finlay punched into it. No, at some point, it just like Dave Finlay was working over it, and then at some point, White just pushed his luck, doing the bridging German and his neck just couldn't take it because of the abuse. And then it just gave out. And then Finlay went to work on it. I love this match. I thought it was tremendous. You know what I think is fascinating that's going on? It's like now Jay White is the target of AEW fans who say he's no good. For some preposterous reason, suddenly it's become, oh, Jay White is a guy who brings nothing to the table. We need to have this guy bounce. He sucks. He stinks. He can't keep up. Get him out of the promotion. Starting to see some podcasters adopt that line of thinking, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong? What is wrong with Jay White? What is wrong with Jay White to the point that we're like, no, this guy stinks. We don't want him around. Excuse me? Look, I've been watching Jay White for a long fucking time. I've been watching this for a long fucking time. I've seen his entire run as his multiple entire runs as IWGP heavyweight champion. I can tell you with confidence that Jay White in a main event going 35, 40 minutes plus isn't always a recipe for success. Jay White has had some snoozers. I will absolutely agree with that. And this is a guy, when he was signed to AEW, I had that concern. Or I was like, I wonder how he's going to adapt to American wrestling and American TV wrestling on top of that. Because he takes so many liberties in wrestling in Japan, and the matches are longer and whatnot, and they're not squished by time restrictions. How is he going to adapt? Because I kind of felt like, Jay White sometimes can be a little long in the tooth. But instead, this guy adapted so quickly and so well. I'm impressed. I was impressed back in the day, and I still am. Totally impressed with how he adapted to American TV wrestling, which is an entire ballgame when you spend the majority of your career, working rooms in Japan where everything is streamed and there's no time constraints and whatnot. He's very, and the thing that I was never worried about was his promo work. I was never worried about that because Jay White has always been an excellent promo. Now he gets on the microphone in AEW, and that's what got him over. That's what keeps him over. He's such a great fucking promo guy. Charismatic. I don't know what these people saw in Jay White on Wednesday going, oh, look, no one was into it. No one liked the match. We didn't watch the same match. We didn't see the same audience. I saw people jump out of their fucking seats in the front few rows of the venue in Vegas when Jay White landed the Blade Runner. They jumped immediately out of their seats, pumping their fists. People cheering for Jay White. Got a huge reaction when he came back. What? He has one, not even a stinker. Just had one very average, heatless match on a pay-per-view that you could absolutely argue shouldn't even been there in the first place, and we're ready to throw him out? Let's rake him over the coals? I say that's bullshit. Jay White sold me on the idea of a Jon Moxley, Jay White finish to the C3 as the finals. He sold me on that. I'm like, fuck yeah. Never mind Nigel McGuinness and winning the big one at home or whatever the fuck. Give me Mox and White over the title at Wembley. And have Mox win. I don't give a shit. Just give us that match. And I'm sure he'd excel in it. I'm sure it'd be great. I don't know I don't understand what's going on, because, sometimes the stuff that happens online is completely different with the live experiences, right? I don't want to say that that online fans don't represent people who go out to people who show up live or who watch on TV, right? I don't want to say that. I'd say that there are subsets of fans online who have a platform to be very loud and who connect on certain things and have a tendency to seem louder than what they really are. And I'm going to flat out give you the example of Hikaru Shida, who has all this support online. People always going, yay, Shida, and talking about her outfits and whatnot. And, what is it? Shida best? I don't remember what the gimmick is that they made up. And yet she enters the building and she gets nothing. She gets nothing. I was there at Redemption when she came out as TBS champion and she got nothing. I'm not going to say Maya World got the biggest pop of the night either, but the crowd was slightly more into the Maya World than they were Hikaru Shida. Now, not the best is Shida. That I already made fun of that. No, it's the one that says Shida best, right? That's been going around for a while. Shida greatest, Shida. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point that I'm making is that she has that the fans create these movements, these things, and she gets. If you just look at Shida's if you just take a look at Shida's at the reactions she gets online versus what she gets in the building, you'd be shocked, because you're like, oh, online she seems huge, she seems tremendous, like everyone loves her. You get to the buildings and so it's like this Jay White thing. Now you got a bunch of fans going, Jay White, and then in the buildings he's super over. Everyone does the gimmick, the guns up. And I will say, before you throw anyone out the window and say it's time for him to go, let's give Jay White a heel run. Let's give Jay White a bit of a go as a heel. Let's see how that can turn out. I think he has a spot in this company. Now, Dave Finlay, I think that's still up for debate. I think, is Dave Finlay working out? Hard to say. As it stands right now, maybe not. I don't think he's terrible. I've been enjoying his work more since he's been in AEW than his last few months in New Japan. Last year or two in New Japan. I think Clark Connor's got to glow up. He's been fantastic. But you know what? I really think that trio is missing Gabe Kidd too. I think Gabe Kidd is sorely missed with the dogs. I also think the name kind of stinks. At first I was like, no, that's fine. But now I'm like, no, it stinks. It's not good. The dogs. I know what it refers to. Don't get me wrong. I understand everything. It stinks. Just because you're able to trace a reason for a name just because you're able to trace it doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean it's good. He can call himself Cruz Montana all he wants because of his mother or whatever the fuck, and she can call herself Blake Monroe because of her niece or whatever the fuck. They're still bad names. They still stink. They're still bad names. Who in NXT does not have a bad name? EK Prosper. That name fucking rocks. Plus, he's pretty good, right? EK Prosper. That's a name. That's a fucking winner's name. Anyway, off tangent here. Anyway, just an aside that I don't understand what the Jay White stuff is all about. So, for the upcoming knockout round, we've got 3 matches left. Is what I'm trying to say. We have 3 matches left in the knockout round. We've got Brian Cage versus Hechicero, a Don Callis family blow up. I think Hechicero is going to win. Kyle O'Reilly versus Roderick Strong. That I'm very much excited to see how it's going to go. This should be a particularly fun match. And it's like I said when I previewed the whole thing, I would like Rod Strong to move forward. I would like Roderick Strong to get another match. I'd like him to get to the quarters, maybe even the semifinals. I would like, he's tournament designed. This is the kind of environment he should thrive in. Kyle O'Reilly got his push last year. You know, he got his little moment with the feud with Moxley and those excellent matches that he's had. I think we're overdue for some proper Roderick Strong stuff. I really do think we're overdue for that. And then Katsuyori Shibata versus Nigel McGuinness could sneakily be really good. This is a match that, look, I cannot help but wished that this had happened like 14 years ago, 15 years ago. I wish this would have happened before both of these guys had career-threatening injuries that just changed everything about how they performed. If both of these guys at the height of their powers, motherfucker, but we're going to do this instead. We're gonna do it now. They're a little older, a little more broken down. It should be sneaky good as well, though. But yeah, so McGuinness is gonna move forward. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. And Hechicero will probably advance as well. And I'm hoping Roderick Strong does. If Kyle O'Reilly goes forward, I'm not gonna be upset or anything. I just would like a little more Roderick Strong in this circumstance here. I think that would be a lot of fun. So tournament wrestling, man, it's still exciting. It's still good. And then after that, we're going to get the random draws for the quarterfinals. At least this feels like a full-on tournament, right? It's not just like, 8 guys. We got a full field of 16. And here's to anyone who's having a thought of, well, the first round, it hasn't been very inspiring and whatnot. It hasn't been very exciting. It's a knockout round, and it's very hard to do that in a tournament when you're in a wrestling tournament anyway. When you have your guys, who are going to take the L's, and have every match feel like it's this incredible thing. That's extremely hard to do in a knockout tournament. It's the same thing with the New Japan Cup every year. Every year you're going to have people going, well, these opening matches really stink. It doesn't matter. Yes, most of them are not going to be great. This is true because of how they're being set up. You're going to have your guys that are going to get who you want to go to push forward. That are going to be there, but they're going to be facing guys meant to lose, lost posts. So the matches aren't going to be great. And no, I don't expect great matches across the board in a knockout round. I really don't. Now we're getting into the quarters. Yeah, I think the quality should raise, and I definitely think the quality should take a huge leap when we get to the semis. That's how tournaments work. And when they're booked properly, you get 1 or 2 matches in the knockout round where you're like, fuck, this ruled, like Jon Moxley and Jack Perry. I kind of feel we didn't get that other match. Like there wasn't, I mean, there's still 3 matches to go, and maybe Maybe O'Reilly and Strong has the potential to do that. But we haven't had so far like a second match where everyone's just like, oh, this fucking match, you got to see it. It was tremendous, type of thing. We might get that with O'Reilly and Strong, maybe. But there's not another one where you can pinpoint and say, oh, okay, these are two big time kick-ass guys, And, people who thought, like I myself at some point said, in the preview said, it's kind of weird that we don't have any like real main eventers outside of Moxley, right? I was like, oh, maybe Swerve and whatnot. But then I'm like, it's right during Wembley. Maybe they have other things to do. And these are all, top of the mid card, and it's fine. Like, it's all fine. I mean, I don't know what people expected out of the opening salvo. I mean, it's the knockout rounds. It's fine. They don't have to be 4.5-star specials. They don't even have to be 4-star specials. They can be nice little 3.25, 3.5-star matches, enjoyable, and they've all been enjoyable. They've all been good. They've all been good matches. And I think I'm on the high end when it comes to Finlay and Jay White. I loved the match. I thought it was very, very, very good. It's my second favorite match of the tournament so far, I'd say. Anyway. Just wanted to throw that out there about the quality of the matches. I'm like, relax. It's a 16-man tournament. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's a good start. I think it's a good start. I think it's a very good start. I even think it's a better start than most New Japan Cups, quite frankly. Quite frankly, Cup of the New Japan. When you get Don Fale versus Aaron, was he facing Aaron Wolf in the? Yeah, I think it was It was Don Fale versus Aaron Wolf in the knockout round of the New Japan Cup this year, and boy, that was fucking tedious. And then Don Fale wins. So we had to suffer through Don Fale in the quarterfinals on top of that. Ugh. Hack. Cough. We'll see how it goes. I love the FA Cup concept. Just the execution is meh so far, in my opinion. You mean the random draws and whatnot? I think there would justifiably be a way to make it a little more dramatic. Like I think I think they should reserve some time to sort of like make the draws appear on screen on TV or something like that. I don't know. No, they're not TV draws. They're all done. Like even when they did the selection special, all the names were already picked, right? Like I thought they were going to do a selection special where they had Tony Khan there, and he even had a drawing names out of something, and he even pulled out a Jags helmet, and he was I thought he was going to start pulling capsules out of the helmet and then opening it up and going Claudio Castagnoli versus Ace Austin. That would have been kind of fun, And you never show the papers. It could be just about any old stupid dumb shit, He's got his teleprompter on. He's fine, just follow the teleprompter, But no, he pulled out the helmet. He said, earlier today we pulled the names out of this Jacksonville Jaguars helmet, Tony. All right. It's fine though. Look, it's pro wrestling. I do agree. There could be a little more sauce here. But I really like the idea of I love tournament wrestling. I think you all know this by now. I absolutely adore tournament wrestling. I love the idea that that AEW has decided to do like New Japan and have two big tournaments in the year, a cup and a round robin, like a standard single elimination tournament and a round robin. I fucking love it. As long as everything is a learning experience, and you know, what can we do? How can we do it differently? How can we do it differently next year? That's always something. You could have done like Greg does and pick the Best Picture Academy Award winner. If it's wrong, he pretends he had it right. Yeah, exactly. Greg Turkington from the At the Cinema series, which Kristen and I are huge fans of. This is definitely a work in progress tournament. Yeah, I think so. They'll learn, you know, year after year. I'm just happy we have one to begin with. I'm sure Tony wants to do a kind of a dry run the first time. I really love the concept. Me too. The design of the cup is based on the FA Cup, and yes, you should show the drawing process like a real sport. Small stuff like that can make you more emotionally invested. I agree. You could just do that very, very simply, and it would be tremendous. I think we get McGuinness versus Jay White and Claudio versus Eddie Kingston in the next round. Or in the semis. No Moxley in the semis, Mr. Antox? Really? If that's what you're meaning? That's what you're meaning? We need to normalize 3.25 being a good rating again. Yes, yes, we should. Yes. But you see, deflation is fucking everything up. That's the problem. Jason Major left his membership message. He's been a member for 36 months. I'm old as fuck. Nice to see you, Jason. Let me tell you, brother, you're not as old as I am. I am the oldest man on the planet. But thank you for 36 months of being a member of the channel and your support. I appreciate it tremendously. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think AEW fans who find the dogs boring are roping Jay White in with them. I mean, they have every reason to think that the dogs aren't great. It hasn't been stellar so far. But, you know, sometimes you just got to let things grow and breathe, and you know, we'll see how the booker decides to figure this out too. I know some started turning on White when he beat Hangman twice on pay-per-view because they thought Hangman got buried. Won the title next year. I guess he's the Undertaker, LMAO. And yeah, people don't know the definition of being buried. They don't understand what it is, really. And Meggy Okena, he's been a member for 13 months. It's my over a year anniversary. Thank you so much. No, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your support for 13 months. I appreciate it tremendously. Meggy. Whoever makes it out of the semis will probably be the one to end Moxley's reign. Here's a hot take. I don't think Moxley loses the title in this cup. I think he maintains it, but I think he's going to lose it at the Continental Classic this year. And I think he's going to lose it to Kyle Fletcher. That's my early burly prediction. Warren is only 30. No. I wish. Hey, Travis is a member for 14 months. Got you beat by 1 month, by 1 month, Meggy. There you go. We should have a leaderboard. That's all. That's what we need here. Get some real competition going. I think there's probably a widget for that, right? There's probably something I can finagle with widgets, right? There's probably something I can figure that out. You think he goes the full year? Yeah, I do. Why would you take the title off of Moxley at this point? Moxley has been stellar the entire year. Have him lose it at the end of the most grueling tournament in AEW, Continental Classic, and put over a guy like Kyle Fletcher. Unless, again, I think I talked about it on the review, unless you're gearing up Kyle Fletcher to challenge Will Ospreay for the world title, which you should have him win, by the way. I think Kyle Fletcher is the guy to beat Mox. Or there's another story you can tell and bring it all the way back around to Konosuke Takeshita, who has this thing where he just can't beat Jon Moxley, and maybe we could do that as well. That's also something that is very, very possible. Let's pull up one more topic. Zilla Fatu debuted on NXT, and I thought, I could poke some fun at that and say, hey, he's WWE's problem now. He can go kill people. He can go prove how green and unready he is for primetime by trying to kill more veterans in WWE. Just like he tried to kill Amazing Red there on that House of Glory show. He's their problem now, and everything that goes with it, right? For all of the Avery Styles talk, for all of that, no one is out to say that Zilla Fatu was putting up chairs or not. No one was talking about him working on the teardowns. Anyway, this is a little note here. Okay. Here's a little something we can talk about fairly quickly, and it's about Bayley. We have some an update, quote unquote. I don't think it's that much of an update, but I think it's still interesting regarding her contract status, which is the talk of the town. It's across WWE and AEW fans. Like everyone is talking about Bayley's contract and, when is she leaving and whatnot. So we'll read the article off the Figure 4 online here. David Meltzer and Brian Alvarez discussed Bayley's situation with WWE on the latest episode of Wrestling Observer Radio. Bayley has not wrestled for WWE since a July 26 house show event in Bakersfield, California. She was defeated by Lyra Valkyria in her last televised match on the July 18 episode of Saturday night's main event at Madison Square Garden. Meltzer said Bayley has still not signed a new WWE contract. This is what he said, quote, "The only thing I heard from them when it comes to Bayley is that Bayley has a decision to make. So that's the story. Bayley has a decision to make. She has not signed a contract. When she signs a contract, I'm sure she'll be back on TV. If she doesn't sign, I think they're doing the same thing with that Tony does or has done. He hasn't always done it, and they don't always do it. But I think the situation with her is if she signs a contract, she'll probably come back and attack Lyra, and that'll be her storyline. And if she doesn't sign, then she doesn't come back, and the MSG thing was her write-off." An Instagram post from Bayley on Monday added to the speculation surrounding her future. The song used in the background of a video of Bayley training was titled All In, leading some people to believe she was teasing a potential appearance at AEW All In at Wembley Stadium. Bayley captured the video All or Nothing Baby. Bayley's longtime rival and friend Mercedes Moné has also teased the possibility of Bayley joining her in AEW. Moné recently posted a fan-made match graphic featuring herself against Bayley at WrestleDream. Bayley also posted a mini documentary from her Saturday night's main event match against Valkyria that late last month. In the video, Bayley says, quote, "I feel like I'm taking a further look back at everything or seeing it from a different view and knowing my place in this business and knowing my worth in this business." There you go. Like I said, more or less of an update, just more like I guess it is an update in such where it's like, well, what's been going on? Well, here's been going on. Nothing. Nothing has moved. It's exactly the same news as we had not all that long ago. And the same news that Meltzer reported. He said is pretty much the same thing. She has a decision to make. She hasn't re-signed with WWE yet. So hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath, period. It could lead to brain damage. It's not, for too long of a period. I don't think it's good for you. You shouldn't do that. But seriously, she has, look, if you ask me, and I'm sure you are because you're here on this live stream listening right now. If you ask me, my thought is the same as it's been. Tony Khan is going to throw everything at Bayley to bring her in, if only because she's Mercedes Moné's bestie. They're great friends. I'm sure Moné would love to work with Bayley going around doing cool shit around the world as opposed to doing WWE stuff. I'm sure she'd like to rekindle that. They get along very well. They are legitimate friends. And Tony is going to do everything in his power to make sure that when that contract comes up with Mercedes Moné, she's happy, she's satisfied, and he can re-sign her. The last thing Tony wants is for those dopes that were there on Dynamite last night screaming, "Come home, Sasha." Last thing he wants is for those dopes to be right. He will do everything to hang on to Moné and make sure she goes nowhere. He already did. He already laid out the red carpet for her. Hiring Jennifer Pepperman, right? That was clearly a condition of Mercedes Moné getting hired. You got to bring in my girl. They had to adjust the Pepperman style along the way. AEW doesn't quite work with like WWE and the AEW fans. They don't respond to certain things as well as the WWE fans who have no standards. So they had to adjust along the way. But I thought they found a good cruise control. They found their cruising, not cruise control, their cruising speed with Mercedes now moving forward. They figured it out. It's a wrestling first promotion, AEW. There's a high level, there's a high working standard that you just can't eclipse with the same type of rote backstage segments and whatnot. That doesn't fly. So why wouldn't Tony then not turn around and bring Bayley in? We can have all the discussions we want in regards to her health status, how broken down she is, what does she bring exactly in 2026 to the women's division in AEW, right? I'm going to tell you one thing. Can't be any worse than, I'm sorry, I don't want to, I won't say it because I'm, then it'll just be browbeating and it's not fun. You can't, you don't want to beat a dead horse, but there's room for more top talent. And there's one thing, I think that we should be cognizant of, and that is oftentimes there's been talent that people from WWE who came into AEW that people discarded completely. It was like, this guy's toast. Oh, he never did anything interesting. Look at Tommaso Ciampa, for instance, for a recent example. And now you're like, because Tommaso Ciampa is still great. And maybe Bayley's in that type of position too. Maybe she still has some in the tank. And she's like, I'm not wasting it, in this shit company, in these shit matches. I am convinced that Bayley saw her friend Mercedes Moné and saw her live on multiple occasions with her first outings into the world post WWE, going to New Japan in the Tokyo Dome, going to that venue in San Jose for the first New Japan shows in America. She was there cheering her friend on. She's looking at all the cool shit she's been doing across the world since, and Bayley's like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I don't want to be part of a business to business outfit anymore. I want to wrestle. I want to be in front of exciting live crowds. I want to do different shit than the shit that I've been doing for years. You could do a lot worse. You could really, really do a lot worse. And I saw also the WrestleVotes guy today. He put out the thing saying, what did he say? He said something like, this eyebrows were raised when she posted that video. I'm like, God, that guy has nothing to add. He has nothing to hide. Like, yeah, oh yeah, eyebrows were raised in WWE when she posted that training video with the All In song. And you're like, oh really? Oh really? This is what you're asking your supporters to pay for? The most obvious fucking reports? You speak to someone backstage who says, yeah, it raised a lot of eyebrows. No shit, Sherlock. No shit, it raised some eyebrows. It raised a lot of fucking eyebrows. It's like, the reports, of like, oh, the New Day are expected to sign with AEW if they're not signed already. Oh, really? Like you don't like this is not even shocking news. It's like you just pay attention for like a fraction of a second of what's going on, in wrestling news on a weekly basis, and you're like, yeah, yes. Christ. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on this. I'm very interested in this potential jump. But look, if she decides to stay, I mean that, it will all be on her for the rest. At that point, it's like, no, I've got no simpy moving forward. And if you stay there because of the money or whatever, and you're miserable, and no simpy. If she really wants to open up and make a change and have all of these little hints that are not subtle, she wants to keep dropping all of these hints everywhere and not do the move. Well, then you're like, oh, well, what the fuck were we doing, right? But look, we're not there yet. I'm projecting into the future. It's nonsense. I don't think she'll be showing up at All In, right? Isn't the rumor, like, we don't have clarity on when her contract ends, but doesn't everyone kind of agree that it's towards the end of the year? Or is it just me who misunderstood something? Or maybe, TKO sat down and was like, we got to renegotiate now. And Bayley was like, no. And then they're like, okay, we'll terminate your contract earlier. And she's going, okay. Early 2027. Yeah. I don't think she's showing up at All In. I think we still have a ways to go here. Remember the at least 7 wrestlers waiting to be signed by AEW? Yup. Yes. And one of them is work in progress now. He's still waiting for the call. It's like the people asking for Kairi Sane to come in. Look, I like Kairi Sane as much as the other person. I don't. I think a Bayley addition is much more compelling. Am I nuts? I think Bayley being added to the roster is much crazier than Kairi Sane. I don't know what Kairi brings all that much to a North American crowd anymore. Anyway, that about, I think we covered everything. We're good now. I think we're good. We're going to start bringing this off into the home stretch now. We're going to start going. We're going to swing for the fences and bring it all home. But we'll see what happens. There you go. That's the podcast. We're done. We're done. We're done. So, yeah, I mean, what's left? The weekend. The weekend's coming up. I've kind of been like, you know, I've always been thinking, okay, what do I have to do today? What do I have to do today? Because I've been doing all of the G1 stuff, you know, and it's like, oh no, now it's done. Like the daily coverage is done. Now it's just like kind of business as usual. Just going to watch the New Japan shows again. And that's where I'm at right now. So I was like, okay, what's coming up next? No, there's nothing, no big emergencies. We're going to have ourselves a nice stream on Monday. Final thoughts on the G1. And then, you know, the regular rigmarole. Back with another stream on Thursday. Mr. Warren Hayes Show on podcast applications Wednesday. Thursday, the Dynamite Review. We're back to the regular schedule, baby. Back to the regular schedule. And the big all-in reviews coming up in 2 weeks. A little more than 2 weeks, but it's closer than a lot of people realize, I think. It's coming up real fast. 2 Dynamites left. We got next week's Dynamite, and then we're in the go-home. We're in the go-home zone. I think I saw someone ask earlier, I just thought of that. Someone asked in the chat if I thought that the New Day was going to be Swerve's trio, that they were going to be his complementary team. And I talked about it on the Dynamite Review today. I think it's weird to do that. I think it's strange to bring in the New Day as heels. It would be strange. And I usually feel like AEW has a good handle on these things where it's like, no, we're going to, you know, they know that fans are anticipating, waiting for these guys, and they're going to do it. They're waiting for these guys. They're anticipating these guys to come in. They're going to get big reactions. So we're going to start them off as baby faces, and then we'll see, you know, kind of what they did with Ricochet, you know. But yeah, I think it's a strange pairing. I don't know. I feel it. I feel it's kind of weird. But then again, if Swerve has this trio, then you can easily slide into Swerve's group against the Elite, right? And then you have, you know, your big main eventer figureheads and your ace tag teams, and I don't know. I thought of that, and I'm not putting it past them to do it. It just would be strange. And oh my God, the discourse. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I still think AEW should announce the New Day is going to be there at Wembley. I think the New Day would push more tickets. I think that would generate interest from fans in the UK who might still be on the fence for some reason. Like, oh, no. I want to see the New Day's debut, you know, type of thing. Anyway. I think of it logistically, if you have the New Day come in as faces, you need to have tons of merch ready to go. As heels, you just need a shirt. To come in, they always start with one shirt though. I don't think, and look, frankly, let's be honest here. AEW's merch game stinks. Okay? It's bad. It's bad. Every show I've been to, every pay-per-view, selection is always awful. So these are print-on-demand things that they do. You know, it's 1 hour tees. Pro Wrestling Tees is 1 hour tees. They just print on demand and they ship it out. They don't have tons and tons of t-shirts pre-printed and waiting to go out. They don't overstock on inventory. They print on demand. it's not that big a deal. I don't think. Swerve in the New Day versus the Elite down the line after they turn heel. I mean, the heel turn didn't work in WWE. Why would you do that? Anyway, look. We'll save it for the discourse. We'll save it all for the discourse. For now, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for your lovely comments on our way out. I appreciate it. Thank you for thanking me. But more importantly, thank you for coming. I am very, very grateful for each and every one of you who come and hang out on these live streams. It still boggles my mind that people do that they want to come in and listen to my dopey opinions. But I appreciate it. I'm very, very much appreciative of all of you. So have a great rest of your Thursday evening, right? And more importantly, have a great weekend. Enjoy it tremendously. Have a great time and be responsible. Stay away from stupid people. And I will see you all Monday or whenever. See you next time.
Thank you.